So hello and welcome to the 5th episode of the Spotlight Podcast, the unofficial podcast for Century 21 sales representatives in Canada, where we discuss the hot topics and important news in the real estate industry. So I'm your host, Linas Kilius, and with me as always is Eryn Richarson.
Hi.
Eryn is a broker and general manager with Century 21 Heritage Group. Eryn has an extensive background in online marketing, technology, and customer service. And I'm the head of business development at the real estate marketing company, Homeania. So Eryn, of course, while we were recording last week, I believe it was during our actual recording, there was a Competition Bureau ruling, which would have been pretty handy to talk about during our last show. But the way that the timing worked is, and of course, we end up posting this podcast the day after we actually record it. So it looks like we missed out on that. But we're going to spend a little bit of time, and hopefully we'll talk about a little bit about that today, just what happened at the Competition Bureau, because it's fairly important and it could have ramifications in the future. So just a little bit of background of what happened in case any of your listeners haven't heard. So the tribunal basically concluded that TREB, the Toronto Real Estate Board, substantially or completely controls the supply of MLS-based residential real estate brokerage services in the GTA. And the whole idea behind this is that they believe that TREB may be stifling the competition in the industry due to the restriction of MLS data, in particular historical sold data in the marketplace. The idea is that the Competition Bureau, at least I imagine what they're trying to get for, is that it would be advantageous from a competition standpoint if there was easier access to this data, so you can get better online services and access to the information from a general standpoint of the consumer, or so third parties could come in as well and create online technologies for consumers as well. So what do you think about this ruling, and how is that going to affect agents?
Well, following it, obviously being in the Toronto marketplace for the last few years, first of all, we should mention that the ruling, we still are not sure exactly how they ruled and the details of how they ruled. This was a bit of a media piece that was put out the date, a one-pager that was put out by the Competition Bureau that the media got a hold of. So do we have any details at this point in time? We really don't. So it's hard to really comment on anything going forward without the details of the ruling.
Yeah, this is just one small step in the process. It's like the agreement that something may be happening here, and then there's absolutely nothing that came down in terms of restrictions or agreements that will take place with TREB in terms of their restriction to MLS access. But not only TREB too, this obviously is directly involved with TREB, and the hearings have to do with TREB specifically, but this will have ramifications across the country as well, because a lot of boards will have to follow suit as well. So I mean, what do you think is going to come of this in the future? Is this the beginning of the end, or what do you think?
Oh, well, no. I said it before. I said it last week. There's always going to be room for realtors, and there always has been, and there always will be. It's just the access to the data, and technology is what's really changed over the last 10 years. So with consumer access to quick information online, there are many people that believe that, all that should be available, readily available all the time. I mean, I look at it even from the U.S. standpoint. You see what's available in the U.S. I went to a conference, a real estate conference down in Austin once. And when an agent got a lead from an online source, they were able to, within 10 minutes, know where they lived, what universities they went to, the education level, how many kids, criminal background checks, how much they bought and sold their house for. Like, they were able to know so much information, and that's the concern in the U.S. is this privacy of the individual.
And that's TREB's argument in general, is that this could violate privacy issues.
Right.
So I guess that's the two things you got to balance, is the privacy as well as the ease of access. And like you said, in the States, this has happened a long time ago. So, and there still are real estate agents in the States. It's not like it's blown up the industry. It's changed it, obviously changed the landscape of things, but real estate agents will always be relevant no matter what kind of ruling comes out here. It's just a matter of easy access to that data.
Well, that's it. And they always say information is power, and a lot of third-party organizations, whether it be brokerages or non-brokerages, or they want access to this information because they feel there's different models out there to make some money. So, it'll be interesting to see how it goes. I was a bit of surprise, hearing the one page and the source, the media's take on it. So, but I really, stress the fact that, it's important not to not to jump to conclusions and not to think that we're just going to open our doors and all the information will be available to everybody. But let's sit, wait, and let's find out what we do with the information.
Yeah, for sure. And just like any sort of quasi-legal process, it's going to take time. So nothing's going to change overnight. This does seem almost like the preliminary bit, like it's like an intention to kind of keep moving forward. So it's just kind of another step in the way along the way of the process. So
yeah.
Hi. So we've been talking over the past couple of weeks. I've been taking my real estate courses. So we decided that this might be a good opportunity to talk to our listeners about those agents that are just kind of getting started in the industry, like where you kind of go from there, how you get set up and everything, or even for those that are already existing in the industry, like those well-established real estate agents, how you can, more effectively get your business set up, put foundations and systems in place, deal with your sphere of influence and such. But before we get into that, there's just one thing that Eryn wanted to talk about quickly: the Century 21 Future Leaders Network. It kind of ties into this because it is for newer agents with kind of newer ideas and such to kind of help brainstorm in the Century 21 system. But I'll let Eryn talk about it because he knows a lot more about than I do.
Well, right now, I think it came into play a couple of years ago, where Century 21 decided to create a network of individuals that were new to the industry or had just had some success earlier on in their career. When we say new to the industry, basically like-minded individuals in their 20s and 30s. The average age of a real estate agent in Canada is creeping up to 57. So you could understand that in terms of competitive advantages and whatnot for a new agent that's in their 20s, it'd be difficult to get in and compete with those people. So with technologies and new innovations and all the rest of it, creating a network of individuals that are of the new demographics, I think Century 21 is heading in the right direction of getting some mentorship happening. I'll give you the description of the group as on their Facebook page. It says the Century 21 Future Leaders Network, FLN, is a group of individuals who have demonstrated leadership skills, a desire to succeed, and the determination to make a difference. The Century 21 FLN is a trusted peer network for sharing ideas, strategies, and learning. So it started off with a Facebook group, and you have to actually be invited to join the network. They're looking for individuals that have had some success in real estate, that can share these ideas, and hopefully maybe a couple agents per office across Canada. You can be nominated by a manager in your office. You can be nominated by somebody that is part of the group. But if that's something that seems like it would interest people across Canada, I think you should speak to your manager and see if you can get a part of this. It'd be exciting.
So what do you think the advantages of this are? Is this more to get ideas for your office or for yourself as an agent, or is this more to give feedback to Century 21 and try and get new technology in place, say from a corporate level as well?
I think there's a few different things. You mentioned two of them there. Even from a networking standpoint, I know I was on a conference call today from 1 to 2, and the agents that were at the conference last year that were at an introductory sort of intro to the business. It was a breakout session or a session they had to welcome all the new agents that just started in the industry, and it was put on by the Future Leaders Network. And they said that the biggest thing they got from it was they're able to network amongst like-minded agents across Canada. Hopefully get some referrals and share ideas and I think that's a huge advantage, as well as giving feedback, of course, to Central 21 Canada, bringing in good speakers and
not getting too far off topic, but just talking about increasing that network of other like-minded agents. In the future, we're going to be having an episode about National Conference in Vancouver, and I've always thought that might be a good venue for that kind of thing too. I've been to a couple of the national conferences for Century 21, and I've noticed that is one big advantage that a lot of agents kind of talk about, is getting that cross-Canada referral network in particular, and just network of agents they can work with.
That's right. Yeah.
Hey, anything else you want to say about that before we move on to the next segment?
No, just like I said, if you want to, look or have a little bit more information about that, you can always email me or contact me, or as I said, just contact your manager to see if that's something you'd like to participate in. And it's not just open to everybody. It is, a group of individuals that we want to make sure, contribute and provide the great information. And there's some mentors within the group that will help other agents that are just starting out as well. So
for sure. And like we're going on our main segment here about getting set up as a new real estate agent, but from my perspective too, getting into this industry can be fairly daunting. So it's always good to have that kind of peer network to work with. So let's get into the main segment then. So being a new real estate agent coming into the industry, you're fresh off your courses, you're bright-eyed and bushy-tailed. Where would you go from there? How would you start getting business?
Well, it's interesting because I would say the biggest complaint or the biggest problem with agents coming out of school is the focus of knowing where to start. Who's going to take you along your journey and tell you, this is what you have to do first, this is what you have to do second, and really focus and put you in the right direction, right path. I think it's up to the brokerage to provide that type of support. So first of all, you definitely want to see what tools that you have within your brokerages. But I want to sort of center on a few of those things to point people in the right direction if they're listening. So, and you know what, this can even be for for an existing agent that maybe just wants to refocus themselves as well. The very first thing that we always talk to people about in terms of wanting to get business is not to start looking outside your own sphere first. So your people, your individuals, or we'll call it sphere of network. So it could be a past colleague, it could be a neighbor, a friend, a family member, their friends and family as well. That's where you're going to look for your first business. And I think many different trainers all teach that same concept, but very few people really take it to heart. They think they can, I'm going to start putting an ad in the paper, or, just start door knocking or cold calling. And they haven't even set up their systems and their foundations first. So it's really important that certain things are done. So maybe we'll go over a few of them. I've heard the speeches from different other industries that start telling you got to start calling everybody and asking them for business and all. That's not what I'm saying at all. It's the first thing you should do is learn Client Connect in the online office system. Just learn how to input some individuals into there. So, and what you'll do is you'll start taking maybe social media, maybe your phone, go to your phone and look at your contact section, start writing down people's names, their phone numbers, their email addresses, and most importantly, their addresses. Find out where they live. If you have their address, there's so much more you can do to not have to always be begging for business. You just want to start creating really professional pieces, a newsletter once a month, for example. If you are doing email touches, don't do it spammy. The contact management system with Client Connect allows you to create action plans. One of the action plans I created within the system is all the discounts and special deals that we're able to provide. And once every other month, I send out an email to everybody on my sphere of influence, inviting them to get a discount at the Brick, or Dulux Paint, or when they are looking to buy and sell, you offer air miles, and there's so many different ones there. So I'll do an action plan for the whole year every other month, just sending out these different little giveaways, and it's it's sort of coming from the side rather than straight on. But the very first thing you need to do is you need to create your book of business. Your business relies on people, and you need to know as much information about people as possible. And that starts with your sphere of influence. And if somebody came to me and said, I have 25 people on my sphere of influence with addresses, I can tell them that's good for $40,000 worth of business. If you have 50, it's 75,000. If it's 100, 150,000. And that's just basic business. I mean, I'm not talking about repeat referrals and open house and all the other stuff you can do with listings. But if you create that list and then start sending out those pieces, contacting people, sending out notes and birthdays and birthday cards and all this sort of stuff, you're going to have a very, very strong business going forward.
Might be a good point quickly to mention too, I guess, the Canadian anti-spam policies and such. I guess you'd have to contact these people in advance to say it's okay for you to send monthly newsletters to them, or what would you typically do from that case? Well,
we have within the Client Connect system Antispam email that goes out to ask for permission to send them stuff. So there are ways to definitely be anti-spam compliant.
Yeah, but in general, it sounds like the strategy that you're talking about here too isn't that kind of like in your face, like newsletters constantly. You're sending useful information and things that would be relevant and get people to open up your newsletter and kind of keep you in mind, as well as being a real estate professional.
Let's remind people. I mean, the purpose of the spamming coming in as a law in Canada is the fact that it's for people that are taking groups. I actually had to tell an agent that bought 1,000 or 10,000 email addresses from a site across Canada, and then I don't know what he was doing, but anyway, he had all these email addresses and he was sending out everybody an email, and that's spamming, and that's what it's supposed to stop.
And right? In the case that you're saying too, you're talking about 25, 30 people from your close family and friends. I don't think your mother's going to report you for anti-spam legislation and stuff.
Yeah, so. Yeah. Listen, we can be spam compliant, but I don't even want to focus on emails at this point. That's something that we can do within the Client Connect system that's useful, but emails are only 30% effective. I always point at 30% of every email I send out is, either opened or read or whatnot. So it's, first of all, only 30% effective. And second of all, it's not effective from a personal standpoint. The deals are great and it's a good reminder and it's a good touch every now and then to get something from you. But the most important things are going to be things you do with addresses, the pop buys, the dropping by the house to give a little gift, a pen, a calendar, a pumpkin at Halloween, all the different things that we can start doing with people as long as you have their address. So get on Facebook, start calling the people or emailing or texting, whatever you want to do with the people, and say you're updating your database and you'd love to get their address, their current address. And most people will give it, especially if they're a true sphere of influence for you. Yeah,
I mean, this all seems kind of overwhelming as a new agent too. There seems like there'd be a lot to do. Is there a good way to set up this plan or have these ideas, know how frequently to stop by, or how often you should be calling your sphere of influence? Because I imagine, again, it's a fine line between bothering someone and having a useful cultivation of your sphere.
What I did, and I didn't get this from any, I'm sure, the coaches and the trainers that are out there have different ways of doing it and different ways of organizing yourself and holding yourself accountable. I just created a spreadsheet, and I had right from January to next January, or January to December, set up as columns. And I had everybody list down in the list going down the side. And every month I'd put a different letter depending on what I did. For example, if I did a pop by, I'd put a P. If I made a call, I'd put a check mark or a C. So I can just keep in track of knowing who, when I did something. The other thing is within the Client Connect system, I like that because it's a one pager. And I could just see it on my wall and I can say, oh, geez, I haven't done anything with this person all year, or, I've just sent out the emails, but I haven't followed up with a phone call quarterly. So yeah, if you want to, I like the visual on the wall, but you always keep track of also within the Client Connect system, in the note section, keeping a track when you sent something, when you talked to them, what you talked to them about. Did Billy just, score the game-winning goal in his, hockey game to win the championship, and you're going to send a little handwritten note and you put in there you sent that on the certain date. So you can start going through your list of people all the time, and you should be doing this once a week. Just set it up. I would say once a week, twice a week to put time aside to make the calls, do the pop buys. And I always say pop buys. First time I heard of a pop buy, I thought it was like Popeye the Sailor Man. I swear. Popeye. Brian Buffini, right? He's a trainer. He's a Popeye. I'm like, what is a Popeye? What is this Popeye thing? It's just stopping by the house. And this is for your sphere. It's not for stopping by somebody's house on your street. Or these are people that know you. But I can't stress enough. And then what ends up happening is if you set up a good foundation for your business, you're able to now put people into that group when you meet them. So you've done some door knocking. You got a good lead. They called you back. You did a listing presentation. They're now somebody who's thinking about you. Put them on your sphere of influence. They know you now. So you start sending them little publications, and your newsletter once a month you have to set up your newsletter once a month. You got to send out something once a month. And if you have an automated system to do it, that's what I suggest. Try not to do it yourself. Get somebody to do it for you. The professionals will make it look professional, and you'll set it and forget it. And it's the best way to do it.
For sure. So for these Popeyes, so what do you, obviously you're just trying to maintain the connection with the client. Do you just go and you start shooting the breeze? Like what do you typically do? Like I imagine a lot of people might go like have this Popeye on their schedule and maybe they don't know what they want to talk to the potential client or their lead about.
Yeah. Okay, Popeye, great question. And let's go the Brian Buffini route. Brian Buffini is a big proponent of time is money, and it's important that you're friendly and you go to the front door. He says sometimes it's best just to leave your car running. So go up to the front door, knock on the front door, say I'm just, dropping by my pen, and a little card there. How's the family? Family's great. You know what? I got a bunch more people to hit up today, so I gotta say goodbye. But I hope everybody's doing well and have a great weekend and do something quick like that. I think that's Brian Buffini's. I don't even know if you have to rush it. I think the important thing is that you're having a good conversation and you're connecting again. You never know where that conversation and that how effective really it's going to be having that conversation with them, because they could go to the let's say you're talking to the husband and it closes the door, goes, honey, you never believe who stopped by. It was Eryn. I haven't seen him in 2 years, and he stopped by. How creative is this? And they look at it and, well, he must be really good at what he does. Sort of, that's what they're thinking. They get the.
I guess it's about keeping you fresh in their mind, right? So that if the timing works out, like maybe like, oh yeah, like we're thinking of selling us, maybe we should give them a call and get them to come in and do an appraisal or something. So I guess that's the kind of thing that you're getting at with this too, is just to keep everyone thinking about you. So they'll be like, what's that? What's the name of that real estate agent we had like a couple of years ago? We really liked them, but maybe they just forgot your name or something. But if you're constantly stopping by and giving them like newsletters and business cards and such, that'll be a little bit easier for them to get in touch with you too.
Yeah, and you know what? We have people that do, say, listen, if you're ever looking to buy or sell, give me a call, all that kind of stuff. I'm all about the soft sell. That personally, that's just me. I'm not even going to mention anything about real estate. I'm not going to ask for business. I think they're going to know. They get my newsletter. They get my emails. They know I'm in the business. They know why I'm doing this. I don't have to remind them. You'd be surprised how much business you get from them, not just because of what they're doing. A lot of people say, oh yeah, but my friends, they know me. They're going to use me if they, why do I got to do that? Why do I got to send these things out? You'd be surprised. I don't know how many times I've stopped by, a restaurant and saw somebody I knew and talked to them, and somebody else at the table actually is the one that's looking to buy or sell. And then all of a sudden they refer me and I give them a call, and, I've done business with somebody I have had no idea who they were,
Yeah, for sure. And everything snowballs so well. So I imagine if you can cultivate your sphere of influence, even if it is small, it will grow pretty rapidly over time if you're doing it properly as well.
Yeah.
So is there any sort of advice you have to like the newer agent getting in that's maybe getting frustrated trying to get that first deal or two to start getting an actual revenue in? Because I imagine most new real estate agents, it's not like you're an instant success. It takes time.
Right.
So is there anything you have to say to them, like maybe stick with it or...
I usually, everybody is different. Some people come in with 5 people on their sphere of influence. They just moved into town. They only know 2 people. And then there's people that have 100. And so it's really difficult to say that there's, something to say for everyone, other than one thing that I've sort of picked up over the last few months with Rob Vivian and his coaching that we're doing with our brokerage is it's a numbers game. You can't rely on the 4 people or the 4 leads or the 4 people that you think are going to be next in line to sell their house or maybe buy something, or spend too much time on one person thinking, they got to buy, I got to make that paycheck, and just worry about that one person. It's a numbers game. You have to continuously prospect. You have to be always out there meeting new people. You have to be calling your sphere of influence and talking to them and popping by their house. And even when you're busy, you've got a few things on the go, continue doing the things that got you there. Most people end up, they get busy, they get some, a few deals done even, and then all of a sudden they, just stop doing the things that got them busy, right?
Yeah, don't get too far off topic, but you mentioned prospecting too. Like if your sphere of influence is really tiny, let's say you're one of those agents that only has 4 or 5 people starting off, you're just new into town. What's a good way to grow your sphere of influence outside of your existing one? Like getting involved in the community events? Like what can you do? Like you said, throwing an advertisement in a paper probably isn't the best way to do it right off the bat, right? You need to make those personal connections. So how would you go about doing it as a new agent?
There's a lot, like you said, there's a lot of different aspects and different things you can do. It's important to focus on the things that you feel you're good at, feel that, sort of cater to your personality. So if you're an extrovert and, you'd be great door knocking because you're going to go, and meet new people face to face, knock on the door, they've never met you before, but you're able to make a really quick first impression. That's fantastic. I mean, those type of people, it's almost they're born for it, right? The other things to do, especially if you're not into the cold call door knocks type stuff, there's tons of other things, like join a group, an organization, a volleyball team, a basketball team, the Chamber of Commerce, networking group. If you Google networking group in Toronto, there's about 50 sites of different groups that they have out there that you can come and network with other professionals, and you will get business from it. There's no doubt. People will give you business if they like you. Just go make friends. If you're a friendly person, and most of us are, we just have to sometimes turn it on and off.
Yeah.
I got to turn on the friend. I got to really be, nice to people today.
Well, yeah, you imagine if you went into real estate, you probably have a little bit of that extroverted personality, or at least enough that you think you're a people person because you're going to be in sales, right? So you'd imagine that most real estate agents have some sort of skill set to deal with that as well. So
I have seen, and it's interesting, Linas, I have seen some really, really successful agents that have no personality at all. And you know what? What they did was they played to their other strengths. If they're organized, they're diligent, and nothing gets by them, they'd be a great farmer. They could be good at farming. Like, and people say, well, you have to go and talk to them. Well, yeah, but I mean, you can, and you sort of have to be good with money too. So you can start in a small area and say, have a budget of $3,000, let's say, for a year of sending out flyers, right? And if every week you're out there sending out, putting the flyer on the front, just getting your name out there, eventually business will come to you because you're so diligent and you're so organized to make sure that everything goes out, that people will start calling. And then you can really, Rob Vivian's always about 1 in 4. 1 in 4 leads will make it through. 1 in 4 leads will work out. Just keep getting the actions, keep getting the leads, and 1 in 4 will work out. So those people that are more diligent to have a plan in place for farming and sending out news flyers, postcards, all that sort of stuff, will get business. They will, and I've seen it. And there's one of our top agents, that's her thing. I mean, she does a great job farming, and really impressive how structured she is. So, and
play to your strengths is the big kind of takeaway from there. Then I guess when you're trying to work on prospecting, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, to try to make sure we don't go crazy overtime like we did last week. Just one quick thing I wanted to ask you too. So you've mentioned the names of several trainers throughout our little discussion here. So let's say someone's come out of their courses and they're starting to set up their sphere, getting things ready. Are there any good training programs or anything that you can recommend? Maybe Rob Vivian or Buffini as well. Like
Yeah, no. So the two that I used, the first one I used when I was in the business was Chris Leader. And I used Chris Leader because he actually had a program that you could get your CEU credits with the continuing education with Rico. So I took his course, and it was a couple weeks, and you attended his class every day, and you put together a whole program. And he was very good. It's very structured, and all the basics of real estate. Really gives you a good overview, good for new agents. So Chris Leader was one of them. The next one was Brian Buffini that I took. And Brian is, there's nobody that does it better in terms of your sphere of influence than Brian. So in terms of building foundations for your sphere of influence, people that know you and to get people to like you, he is the one that you have to take. I mean, and most people say, listen, regardless out there, Brian Buffini is definitely worth every penny. So Brian's really good. And then newly, recent was the Rob Vivian. He's been around a while. It's just I haven't used any of the systems before, and I find him very good because what it is the consistency of the coaching aspect. He's giving you actually some really good prospecting stuff that you can put into place right away. and he doesn't load it on because it's a coaching system. So this week I'll be focusing on this. Next week I'll be focusing on that. And then he tells you to just pick 3 areas to focus on, or 3 different ways to get prospects, and just focus on those 3 out of the 6 that he gives you. So he really does help and get you in the right path as well.
Yeah, I've heard Rob Vivian talk a couple of times, and he definitely engages his audience, and you get right in there, keeps your attention. So I'll put the links for getting in touch with all 3 of those: Brian Buffini, Rob Vivian, and who am I saying? Chris Leader. In the show notes, if anyone's interested in getting in touch with any of them and getting involved in their programs as well. So moving out of our main segment, we're going to talk about our app of the week. And the app of the week this week is Dropbox. So Dropbox, and there's other similar services out there, Google Drive or Microsoft OneNote are other 2. Basically what Dropbox is, it's an online storage solution where you can put files either on your computer in your Dropbox or like from your phone in the Dropbox, and you can get access to them anywhere. Those files will exist in the cloud. It's a great way to transfer files from one person to another. You can create links that you can send to people via email where they can download files that you put in the cloud. It's amazing actually how many times I'll get an email from a client being like, I need to send you all these pictures, but they're really big. How am I going to send you them? I can't email them. Well, the first thing we always say is, well, do you have a Dropbox account? It's free. You get 2 gigabytes free if you sign up. Or the other alternative too is actually Century 21 has their own kind of similar solution called online storage that you can get to through Online Office as well. Now, I'm not sure what their maximum limits are, but it's pretty useful if you need to transfer a file or have like a listing presentation or something in the cloud that you need access to from any device. And Dropbox, as I mentioned before, has integration across all platforms, devices. Pretty much anything that's electronic has access to Dropbox these days. So if you do need a listing presentation on your iPad or your iPhone or your Android device or laptop, tablet, whatever, you can get easy access to your Dropbox files that way. And it does integrate seamlessly on your desktop too. So you can actually just create a little folder as long as you have Dropbox installed on your computer. You can set that folder as a Dropbox folder, so you just drag and drop something into the folder and it will sync across all your devices. Pretty powerful. Of course, this has wide ranging of implications across many industries, not just real estate, but it is a very important and useful tool. And it's the kind of thing that me and Eryn were talking off camera about when we were trying to decide what app of the week we're going to go with. He's like, well, Dropbox is a good one, but you feel like almost everyone knows about it, but a lot of you might not. Like I've come across realtors that have never heard of it before, and it is almost a ubiquitous tool these days. However, a lot of you may not have heard of it before, and it's definitely something, or maybe you've heard of it and you didn't know what it was. So it's a good thing to kind of check out. Eryn, so you use Dropbox on a regular basis? I'm assuming?
Yeah, I've been using Dropbox for quite a while now, maybe even up to 5 years. So I like Dropbox because it is so readily used across all platforms. Google has theirs and Microsoft has theirs. Everybody has a sort of a cloud-based storage solution. But Dropbox seemed to have, taken the industry and got in there early and really is integrated. So anytime that I've ever taught or gone through like an app seminar, I'll call it, I have about 20 different apps that I teach and show how to use in my seminars. I always start with Dropbox. And the reason why I start with Dropbox is because almost every other app somehow relates back to Dropbox. If I'm going to use a scan app, I'm going to open it up and open it up in Dropbox. So anything I scan will be saved to the cloud, so I can use it on my computer, on my phone, any of the other apps that I'm using for real estate, like a PDF reader or let's say what I was using when I was selling, any of my documents I scanned in, I'd actually either scan it with my phone or I'd send it to a 1-800 line that actually turned it into a PDF that I'd open in Dropbox, so it was saved. It's just great from a safety standpoint. Like, if you're gonna, let's say drop your laptop and you lost all your information or you've deleted something by mistake, Dropbox is there to,
Yeah,
make sure that
it's a good backup. It's
make sure
pretty disaster proof because it is
really is.
decentralized. So that's really nice. So yeah, it is 2 gigabytes free, and you can actually pay for it. That's how they make money. If you want to get up to 1 terabyte, I believe is kind of their next tier up, their first paid level. It's $12 a month, which is fairly reasonable considering you get 1 terabyte of storage. That's pretty much as you're going to need, I imagine. I don't know what you'd be storing in there that would get past 1 terabyte. I'm sure people come up with pretty creative ways of filling up that space, but there is that option too if you find you are using it. But 2 gigabytes, that's a lot, especially if it's only documents and such too, as long as you're not storing a lot of video or large PDF files and say there. But that should be enough to get you started to see if you do like it. And then again, they do have the paid tier if you need a little bit more space.
The nice thing about Dropbox too is I've used it a few times where I've deleted something from my Dropbox because I'm cleaning it up. I didn't have enough storage or whatnot. I've deleted something, and then you can go back in the history of Dropbox. It'll actually say, I want to go back 2 weeks and get a file I had there 2 weeks ago or whenever it was. So it's good that way too.
That's pretty powerful. For sure. Well, I guess maybe we'll stop it there. We've gone a little bit over time, not as much as last week, thankfully. So if you like the show, subscribe to our show on Stitcher, iTunes, Google Play, or wherever you find your podcasts online. And please don't forget to leave us a 5-star review on those sites because it really helps. You can watch this and past shows at spotlight.century21.ca/podcast. If you need to reach us, you can email us anytime at podcast@homeania.com. That's podcast at HOM as in Mary, EAN as in Nancy, IA.com. So this podcast was brought to you by the Spotlight Marketing Program, an exclusive marketing package available only to Century 21 agents in Canada. Spotlight provides agents with a comprehensive internet marketing strategy for their listings. We provide high-quality HDR photography, stunning HD video tours, a cutting-edge responsive website, and an extensive advertising system that will help sell your listings faster, sell them for more money, impress your clients, and generate leads. Find out why so many top agents are using Spotlight by visiting spotlight.century21.ca today. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next week.